One thing that really stuck with me was how people shared that through the past year or two, people have distanced themselves from the news because of everything that had happened, the pandemic, how all of the impact that had, the fallout. And so people were seeing so much negativity and things that weighed on them and the news that they were deciding not to interact with it. And so when asked what they would want to see more of, many people would say, I want to see more positive news stories. And I know that's something that I see talked about a lot within reporters and journalists and news organizations of how sometimes people don't click on those things, or people don't always, they'll say they want that, but then that's not really the stories that are paid attention to. So when I dug deeper with, well, what would that look like for you? What type of topics do you follow, and what kind of stories do you want to see about that? People were sharing that they want to see stories of how community members are working together to create positive change within their communities. Um, so they wanted those stories highlighted of, one topic that came up a lot that people followed or wanted more stories of was education. And one person gave the example of, let's share stories of teachers and the relationships they create with their students. Some of those positive, uplifting stories for teachers to see of themselves represented, them creating a better community, as opposed to most of the education news stories, which show kind of not the positive side of being a teacher. And so I think it'll be important when people say they want the positive news stories to dig into that a little more. Well, what does that look like for you? What does that mean? What type of stories are those? What deserves focus within your community? And really start with listening to community members on what type of stories they want to see, and starting there to create the positive news stories, as opposed to just, you know, deciding what a positive news story for your community is and sharing it with them.